What is the most helpful in your postpartum period now that I've been through it? Number one, I have been wanting to do this video. It's been on my mind repeatedly. Sorry if my face looks a little flushed. I just recorded the previous video and ended up crying. Yeah, this is completely raw and I'm just doing this as a series of the reality of life after birth, just talking about everything, okay? All the unfiltered first-time motherhood challenges and struggles, what I would do differently. And in this video, I want to talk to my past self who was obsessed about creating the perfect baby registry. I consumed countless videos, more videos than I could count, about baby registry items, comparing different items, what you need, what you don't need. I could have written like a PhD dissertation on why this brand was better than that brand, why not this material over this material. I've been doing a lot of processing and reflecting on, my naive pregnant self who didn't know what was coming. And what I realized was a lot of my trying to like get my registry right was, first of all, not having any experience knowing what I actually would need, which I want to talk about in this video. But secondly, I was trying to overcompensate by thinking like, okay, yeah, people say baby doesn't need much, but that's them. Like I know I need all the things. I want to optimize my motherhood experience, right? Like I want to bond with my baby. I want my baby to have the best things. Like I know I need all the things, but I think it's not one or the other. I think it's somewhere in the middle where it's like, yeah, you do need certain things, but also you're not gonna know for sure. So make sure it's easy to return if you don't need it. There were definitely a good number of items that I had to return because it ended up not being necessary after all. One of them being, some breastfeeding gear and supplies I ended up gifting to other moms or donating or returning because breastfeeding didn't work out for us. And I talked about that in a previous video. Definitely go check that out if you are having breastfeeding struggles, because no one talks about these things. What I would do differently is, what is the most helpful in your postpartum period now that I've been through it? Is number one, practical help. Number two, financial help. Those are the two things, because I'll explain. So part one, practical help, like people coming to do your laundry, people coming to make food, prep food, tidy up your place if you are like me and can't stand, or I wasn't back then, like I wasn't able to stand a messy place because I was so used to having everything exactly organized in its place. I'm still a little bit like that to a degree, but not as bad as before in terms of just like the sudden shock when I had a baby and I was like, oh my gosh, everything's a mess and I can't do anything about it because I've only had 1 hour of sleep in the past few days. Yeah, people who can literally just come and like help you survive. That's what I would prioritize. And also a side note is, a lot of times you see meal trains. We set up what's called a give in kind for people who wanted to come drop off food or order delivery, which was really helpful. Like those things, don't get me wrong, it was helpful, but to an extent. When people order delivery, you still have to coordinate with the delivery person and make sure they find your place, especially if you live in an apartment complex like us and it's hard to find our place and you don't have cell phone service where you live. So that was kind of stressful, but thank God my husband handle a lot of that. But also even like assembling food, like people would drop off food, but then now we have like food in our fridge, and like how do we assemble it into actual meals? Like it would be so helpful to have actually somebody here to do that. My husband, again, like I've mentioned this in a previous video, he tried his best, but I love my husband so much, but he does not have the gift of knowing how to organize and maximize food prep. Like I've described in previous videos, I was just so out of it with baby blues, my hormones, postpartum depression, anxiety, not sleeping at all, being so just out of it that I could not think straight. I could not heat up food. I could not make a meal. It just sounds so crazy to say, but that's the state I was in. If you have like close family or friends, like we had people coming a few times a week, but it wasn't consistent. And so I would say something more consistent would be helpful. Or even if you have the financial means to invest in an actual like postpartum nanny or postpartum doula. We had a doula as well, but it wasn't like a formal like postpartum, helping you with all of these things like cooking and cleaning and tidying. Is more like a few check-ins and like overnight care, which saved my life that first weekend. And enlisting help for at least a month, if not 2 months. I had my mom here for 2 weeks, about a week and a half after the baby was here, and I was like, that was the longest week and a half of my life. Can you please come sooner? And finally she came here, and it made a huge difference with her helping, like so that we didn't have to juggle all of these different things like laundry and dishes and food prep and baby and like trying to feed baby and calm baby and soothe and figure out everything. It was just like the craziest time. So that's number one. Number two is financial. So there's a thing on Amazon, I know, I think on other platforms too, called a diaper fund, but actually you can use that fund for anything. I don't know why they call it a diaper fund. It should just be babies in general, like baby essentials fund. Diapers, wipes, certain brands of pacifiers and bottles that you're gonna have to buy because your baby doesn't take, I don't know, I feel like it's rare for a baby to just naturally take on one pacifier brand or one bottle brand. I now know, but back then I was like, oh, I got a bottle, I got some bottles, I got some pacifiers, we're good. But no, it's just depending on your baby's needs. Like our baby has oral ties, and so she needs a specific kind of bottle, specific kind of pacifier. She was on a hypoallergenic formula to help with her reflux just in case it was an allergy for a while, so we were on that, but it made her poop so much. Like every feed she pooped, and so we were going through diapers like crazy, wipes like crazy. So you just can't predict. There's like so many things that will come up. Oh, gas drops, for example. I had heard of gas drops, but I didn't know it would be necessary for a really gassy newborn baby. Yeah, just like a bunch of unexpected costs will come up, and it means a lot when people give financially and you have funds built in to kind of support that unexpected budget. Sorry, I'm recording this afterwards because I realized I totally forgot to say what is also needed is just like supporting your recovery. So looking ahead of time for a postpartum therapist, for example, which is something I did. I'm glad I did, but it ended up not working out with the first one. I'm glad I was able to find another one that I'm seeing now, which has been really helpful. But also even like pelvic floor therapists, lactation consultants, if you want to be breastfeeding and, you know, giving that a shot. And I think looking back, I thought all of these things like postpartum doula, like lactation consultant, pelvic floor therapist, all these things seemed like luxuries. Like, oh, I would get them if I need them or if I can, because yeah, they're investments. They cost money and they cost time. But honestly, like I ended up needing all of it. The most important thing you can invest in is yourself. Like that is the most worthy investment you can make. If you're not taking care of yourself, it's really hard to pour out and give when you're like running dry and empty. And so that's what I would also advise, is making sure you're prioritizing, at the very least doing research, which is what I did for resources that you might need to line up so that you're not in a fog being like, I can't even like research and find people right now, I'm in crisis mode. But just having some possibilities lined up I think would be super helpful. And that is one thing I'm glad that I partially did. Also, a pro tip that I'm glad I did was going through a buy nothing group when I was pregnant. So back when I had time and energy and resource to do this, I was on my local buy nothing group, and basically, you know, if people were giving away their baby items and clothes, that was really helpful. I don't think we actually had to buy any baby clothes because of that, because of all the gifted clothes that we had gotten from other people. Going back to the practical help, I was also very overwhelmed the first month. The laundry, right? Like folding the clothes, organizing them, realizing we probably don't need this many after all. I just had a lot just in case, but like now where do I store these clothes or donate them? Like just all the logistics. Basically helping you function as a human being is really helpful that first month. So yeah, I hope this video is making sense. I'm so sorry if it's like all over the place. I also learned recently that ADHD gets exacerbated because of hormones and stuff. So it's been hard, guys. It's been really hard to function and to think straight and to focus. But because I thankfully got a little bit more sleep last night, I'm able to record this video that I've been wanting to do. So yeah, if you're a first time soon to be parent, I would really emphasize those two things: to enlist consistent help, preferably people who you feel really comfortable with, who can just like do your stuff and let you relax, let you sleep, and just enjoy your baby. Like that's literally what I wish I would have done sooner. The second thing is financially, for all the unexpected costs that will come up. But I'm also very curious to hear from other first-time parents, if you're watching this, what you would do differently, because I know everyone's situation is different. Again, I wouldn't like spend so much time stressing over the registry and more time just getting what I feel like are the essentials, and I'll talk about that in a future video. Less emotional reliance on the registry, more focus on setting myself up for a restful postpartum, just like minimizing my need to use my brain to make decisions and figure out what to do. Some people maybe are not as affected postpartum, but I was really affected by my hormones to the point where I just couldn't make decisions. I couldn't do basic tasks and running on so little sleep. Yeah, I'm curious like what other people's experiences are though. So if you have been through that, let me know in the comments. This is a safe space. Keep watching, keep subscribing and liking. Let's just go on this journey together in real time as we process through this. I'll see you guys later.